Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is a worldwide game, and in the United States especially, you can find a Smash scene in nearly every corner of the country. Nearly 2 years ago, I asked myself the question, who's the best Smash Ultimate player from every state? I did a quick Google search to no avail, so I decided to do the research myself and put together a video that a lot of you seem to like. Even after updating it last year, we've seen insane improvement paths from a lot of players from these states, and in some cases, I was just straight up wrong on both lists. So I decided to give it another shot and bring together yet another list of the best Smash Ultimate player from every state. To make sure that this list stays accurate, I put some parameters on it. First, I'll be taking a look at their 2023 season, and then taking a look at any results that they've had in 2024 to determine who I truly think is the best from the state. So while some players might rank higher on the top 200 list, I gave the nod to the player, or in some cases players, who have had the best results recently. In the case that there is more than one player mentioned, I'll be sure to make the distinction at the end of the section on who I personally think is the best player from that state. And at the end of the video, I'll include a full list that has the number of reps of each character that was included throughout the list. There has been some tournaments that have taken place since I began writing this script in early March, so anything that took place after March 3rd is not being considered in this. If I got anything wrong, let me know down in the comments below, and I might just have to update this list later this year or dive into some other parts of the world. I don't want to waste any more of your time, let's get right into this video. Alabama is home to many of the United States' strongest hidden bosses, like Tavares' Mario and Zerzel's Min Min, who have consistently topped the region's PR since the game's release. But the best player currently residing within the state would have to go to Chunky Kong. He attends practically nothing within Alabama, but as a previous top 100 competitor and the most active player within the state at majors, I had to give Chunky the nod. Widely regarded as the best DK player in the world and a huge innovator of the character, Chunky is legitimately one of the most innovative players that you'll ever see in Smash. And he gets great wins on top of all of that, with Donkey Kong of all characters. And for all you casual fans out there, DK is like not a very good competitive character at all. Alaska is one of the most interesting Smash scenes in the US due to the large amount of separation between the two major regions, Anchorage and Fairbanks. Anchorage is likely the strongest of the two scenes, but unfortunately their two best players, Sapien and Danny DeVito, are currently not active due to being away for school. Fairbanks holds the best active player in the state, Waker. The hero and Joker co-main is the most consistently dominant within the Fairbanks region, and this even includes winning the state's biggest yearly event, Alaska Comic Con. That all being said, I think Sapiens piloting Diddy Kong is still the best player from the state. Kinda random, but like right before I released this video, he competed in a few tournaments in the United Kingdom and actually beat many of the region's best players, so the dude's kinda crazy. Arizona's best player has been Base Mage since the return of offline events in 2021, and I doubt that'll change anytime soon. Piloting Puff to some of the best non-HBox results the character has seen in any Smash title, Base Mage has been a lead innovator of the character, and until the rise of Senra, the only top-level rep of Puff. Despite the character becoming more and more recognized and the counterplay being developed, Base's results have only remained strong. In 2023, he nearly top 8'd multiple majors, and at major upset even made it into top 8, beating Zomba in the process. Another humble low-tier hero. Arkansas's tournament scene is split into two major regions that don't interact all that often, Central and Northwest, and the competition in both is steep. In the previous list, I gave the title to Terminus, a cloud main who seems to be the reigning #1 from the state, but in 2024, his results haven't been quite the same. That being said, I'm giving the title of best from Central Arkansas to the #2 player currently, Maddox, who's been having an incredible 2024. This includes great records against the cloud and consistently winning their events, and doing so with a bunch of different characters. From Northwest Arkansas, I gave it to NoSmo, the standing #1 player from the region. The first of many Snake players we're going to see throughout this list, NoSmo has held quite the dominant streak within their region of the state. This is all while being a TO and streamer for his region as well. Absolutely goated. And for what it's worth, I'd give the nod overall to NoSmo as the strongest from the state because of his consistent results in and out of the state, along with his records against the other players. The battle for best in California has been a tough fought one for a while now. Due to the state's huge size, it's generally split right in half with Northern and Southern California. I like to show love to multiple players, so I've given you guys the best players from each. Out of NorCal, there's two guys who are fighting for this title. The highest ranked player from NorCal and California in general is the best Mario player in the world, Kurama. Coming in as a top 20 ranked player globally, he's evolved from the days of going by Prodigy and upsetting MKLeo at Frostbite 2020 to being a consistent threat to top 8 any major. Currently though, I feel that Kurama is being being outclassed by Luis and his Palutena. This is definitely a controversial pick, especially given the disparity between their 2023 ranks, but Luis has been looking absolutely incredible in 2024. His Palu was unlike any you'll ever see, and between the Genesis X pre-local and the actual major event itself, Luis beat Tarek, Mia, Neo, Yara, Ken, Noi, and Gakt. Outside of Tarek from Germany, those are all like top 15 or 20 players in Japan right there. He owns that country. Out of Southern California though, we have a man of many tags, but most well known as Chase, another Palutena main. Yeah, California is just the state of Palutena players, I guess. SoCal is home to other incredible talents like Monte and Kirarash, but Chase has consistently proven himself to be a threat in and out of the state, with wins like Riddles and Onan. Now, I know I said he was a Palutena main, but he has been expanding outside of Palutena quite a bit with DLC threats like Aegis and Steve, so do what you want with that information. While Colorado has strong NA ranked threats like Smirk and Shu, I gave the nod to Kronos on this list. Adding to the list of incredible Snake players ranked as #1 in their state, Kronos made a rise in 2022 as a top 100 level threat, and while he's dropped off the global ranking, he still maintained a strong showing throughout 2023. Within the state, he often trades sets with some of the stronger players, but at majors, Kronos seems to shine the brightest, being able to overcome some truly incredible opponents and consistently breaking into top 32s at huge events and being able to upset some truly incredible players. Connecticut's best player has always been determined by one thing: is Light currently living within the state? When he's not, it's Ling that comes in as the #1 ranked within the state, piloting one of the best Peach and King DDDs that you'll ever see, and in general is a lot more active in the local scene. Right now though, Light is back in CT and is the highest ranked player currently from the United States on the top 100 ranking. He just has to take the title. He's the best Fox player in the world, along with being one of the fastest and most fun players out there to watch. The best part of it all, it actually leads to wins. Light is notably one of the few players to consistently take sets off of North America's top 2 competitors, Spargo from Mexico and Sonics from the Dominican Republic. Light's 2024 has been up and down, but with 3 major top 8 appearances this year, he's on track to top the rankings yet again. Delaware has one of the smaller Smash scenes out there from what I was able to see at least. Previously, MPG and his Mega Man were far and away the best from the state, but he honestly doesn't compete at the Delaware locals at all, and I don't think he even lives in the state currently because of school, so yeah, I can't really include him on the list. But Pokemon trainer main Emba has consistently been ranked #1 within the state for a few years now, and I'd have to give him the title. He's continued to remain a threat, with incredibly dominant records against every other PR player within the state. His attendance has been less than consistent in 2024, seemingly focusing on other things now, but Emba can pop up at any time and pilot an insanely strong Pokemon trainer to a win. Florida has been home to many amazing players throughout Ultimate's lifespan, including ESAM, MVD, Mutace, and even active threats like Anathema and Aaron. That being said, I'd still give North America's best hero player, Beast Mode Paul, the nod in this case. With a touch of Sephiroth, Beast Mode Paul has been a quiet up-and-comer in the Smash Ultimate scene since 2023, where he's quickly become one of the best players in the United States. His 2024 performances haven't been to quite the same standard as we saw last year, but with a character as volatile as Hero, you can't always expect consistency. Georgia is one of the strongest states in the whole country, hosting top-level threats like Omega, Wrath, and the now-retired Fatality, but among them is the best player from the state, the king of the Southeast himself, Cola. Despite being MIA for a majority of 2023, with sometimes multiple month droughts between events, Cola's return has been nothing short of spectacular. While he's mostly a Roy player, you will see the occasional Cloud or Aegis gameplay for some troubling matchups. Cola has the X factor to beat any player in the world, and if you're not familiar with his gameplay or just haven't watched him in a while, I would definitely go watch him after this video. You won't regret it. Okay, editor Jazara here. I almost published this video before I realized that Didi, one of the top 3 Steve players in the world, is also from Georgia. Yeah, I'm glad I caught that one. Didi rarely attends majors, but in his few showcases in 2023 and 24, managed to defeat Sonics, Tweak, Riddles, and Shuton, along with many other top 50 threats. In all honesty, Didi does come close to taking this title, but I would still give it to Cola overall despite the rankings. Only because Cola managed to outplace Didi at Collision this year. But if there was ever a 1A, 1B situation, this would definitely be it. For a majority of Ultimate's lifespan, the PT and Aegis co-main Small Left has reigned as Hawaii's #1 player, but Port Priority 8 at the end of 2023 was his last major, announcing his retirement to focus on his Overwatch team. The #1 spot now goes to the previous reigning #2, Big Stu. Big Stu is one of the most underrated Kazuya players in the United States, mostly given the fact he plays almost exclusively in Hawaii. What I didn't know prior to making this addition to the video was that Big Stu has taken his talent to the mainland US when he took a trip to Texas, and actually picked up a win over a top 50 ranked player in North America, Skinny the Pooh, in his Mario. Idaho's best player for quite a while was Pow, a Steve and Pac-Man co-main, but since the state decided to ban the character, the previous number 2 player Waga, a Wolf and Rob co-main, has stepped up in a big way. He began competing right before the shutdown of offline events, and following the return, he quickly proved to be one of the best players the state had to offer. I reached out to a player from their scene, and they mentioned that there hasn't been many tournaments since the beginning of the year, but the last 2 that Waga was able to enter, he went undefeated, beating both of the previous number 1 players. So, I mean, I gotta give him the title, right? Atada's Ness holds it down as an active threat from Illinois, but Ned has remained the best player from the state for quite some time now. Ned's been a consistent top 50 threat since the days of Smash 4, and in 2022 proved that yet again with a number 37 in the world with a combination of Sephiroth and Pokemon Trainer. 2023 and 24 have been notably less active for Ned, but his results in the Midwest have still been top level material. And I know I literally just mentioned his inactivity, but he's still the highest ranked competitor from Illinois on the North American ranking, so I hope to see more from the King soon. The ZSS recently turned Sonic main, Wolfie, is Indiana's best Smash Ultimate player. I covered them in the previous edition of this series, and the results left a ton to be desired from a state's number 1 player. This was with solo Zero Suit Samus though, and it was the decision to add Sonic that was a game changer for Wolfie. After the Midwest Invitational of mid-2023, the secondary Sonic turned into the main character, and Wolfie's results have only risen since. Starting off the year with top 8s at 2 Midwest regionals, Jumpstart and Full Bloom 2024 just shows that the growth is there and only going to continue. Iowa's number 1 spot was held up by Scar until his retirement, and since then it's been a battle between a few players, but I'd personally give it to Welfare Pickles. The Midwest is full of Snake mains, and Pickles is among the best, currently being ranked number 1 within the state. He was actually ranked number 1 for the first year of Ultimate and has remained a threat in the state since then, but his impeccable Snake gameplay has put him back on the map and brought him great results throughout the last year. I will say though, quick shoutouts to this Banjo player named Faringi, who started coming out to events in October of 2023 and hasn't placed lower than 4th at any of their local events and even got a top 16 at a big regional. So maybe they're the next name to watch out for. Kansas was genuinely the hardest state to choose a number 1 from, because they have such a tight battle for the best. Between their current top 2 on the PR, Justin 23's Yoshi and Ploopy's Game & Watch, who have been doing incredible in and out of the state, or even a player who's ranked top 200 in North America, Rocky with his Pac-Man. But Deathspade's results at the regional and major level outclassed their contemporaries. With primarily Bayo and a splash of Sora, Deathspade is currently the highest ranked player from the state on the NA top 200 ranking and has slowly risen up the rankings as the best Bayo in the US behind Lima and Geist. Being quite inconsistent, you can expect a lot more highs and lows from Deathspade than the others, but with peaks like beating Apollo Kage and Mars in the past, the results speak for themselves. Kentucky's best Smash Ultimate player has been quite the story. Jin's Pyra and Mithra was the best in the state before he decided to take a step back from the game and focus on other things in life. But since then, there's been an insane rise from Kazuya prodigy Wilds that rocketed him into the number 1 spot in the state. Despite being such a strong character, Kazuya doesn't see as much representation as initially anticipated, but Wilds is here to remind everybody of the terrors this character can do. He's genuinely already putting up a top 100 case in the world this year with back-to-back 33rds at Let's Make Big Moves and Genesis X. Say what you want about his character choice, but this dude is definitely going to be one of the futures of Smash Ultimate. Previously known as Kirby Kid, Lukewarm has remained the best player in Louisiana for some time now. Louisiana does have this fun dynamic between Luke, Zai, and Jordan, the other 2 best players in the state, where they all tend to go back and forth with each other, but when it comes to competing out of state, it's Lukewarm that takes the title. A lot of you probably know him from his huge runs in Coinbox or being the first K-Rool player to top 8 a major, but Lukewarm has continued this resume at offline events. He remained low-key through 2023, but in his return to majors at Luminosity Makes Big Moves 2024, he managed to place an incredible 49th with solo K-Rool, beating Lucky and MK Big Boss in the process. Maine is another one of those states that's really hard to make a definitive pick on. Their locals tend to be a toss-up with players going back and forth with each other, other, and strong reps like Whirlpool and Meat Burger taking a lot of the events, but I gave the nod as best in the state to the Mario and Mii brawler co-main, Shard, being ranked anywhere in the top 5 on any given season, and from the research I did, it seems like he's still the most consistent threat within the state. The previous 2 competitors do put up a good case, and I unfortunately couldn't get in contact with anybody from the state, but for yet another year, I'm giving the edge to Shard. Out of Maryland, I'd like to give a quick shout out to their current number 1 ranked player, Oolong, who's one of the best Wii Fit players in the entire world. This dude makes the character look insane, but if you want to see someone who makes a bad character look good, look no farther than the highest ranked player from the state, Peanut. As quoted from Jackal, Peanut is a once-in-a-generation talent. He just has the unfortunate fate of being a Little Mac player. He's gotten some legit top 30 level wins on players like Neo, Kurama, and Rawflow, leading to him being ranked as the number 88 player in North America. He brought the potential out of Little Mac, a character I think everyone in the competitive scene gave up on a long time ago. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Massachusetts' current number 1 ranked player within the state, Antimony. The Steve main broke out in 2023 with many great wins in the New England area and actively competes at locals, leading to their inclusion in the NA Top 200 list. But Massachusetts has a similar dynamic to their neighboring state, Connecticut, where a sleeping giant resides within the state. In this case, it's the former top 3 player turned content creator, Mars, that holds the spot as the strongest competitor within Massachusetts. For years now, Mars has been a threat at the highest level of Smash, and despite competition not being Mars' main priority anymore, he's still a threat to top 8 any major he attends, and he even got 2 last year, at both Level Up Expo and Super Smash Con. If you haven't watched Mars before, the dude has some of the craziest highlights that you'll ever see. For nearly a decade out of the state of Michigan, the top Diddy player Zenoda was the clear number 1 contender from the state, but the return of offline events in 2021 brought a new competitor that would quickly take over, Onin. The top level Steve player made his name known as one of the best in the world in 2022, with a streak including first place at a trio of regionals and 2 majors, Get On My Level, and the biggest win of his career, Super Smash Con 2022. He peaked at number 6 in the world, and despite having a weaker 2023, is still ranked as a top 50 player globally. On top of all of that, Onin is easily one of the best doubles players in the world. SoCal's Inject Atreus is currently the number 1 ranked player in Minnesota, but it's Wario main Loaf that's held the title as best in the state for quite a while now. The United States' best Wario has been more active than ever in the last year. From competing all around the US to even a trip in Dubai in March of this year, Loaf made his biggest splash on his second trip to the West Coast, where he picked up a string of top 30 level wins and, in my eyes, solidified his title as the best player from Minnesota. It's not often that you see a good Belmont player, let alone one that's good enough to be the best in a whole state, but Mississippi is home to just that, Yosefu. In contention for the title as best Belmont in the world with SoCal's T3 Dom and Japan's Trigger, Yosefu has been one of the strongest reps of the character since the game's release, and even has Belmont's biggest win of all time. At Main Stage 2022, he managed to upset top Japanese Sonic main, Ken, and since then has been able to pick up at least 1 great win per major. Well, he's actually only been to 1 other major since then, but he did place an incredible 9th place at Florida Major CEO 2023 and even upset Mute Ace in the winner's bracket. I hope to see more from the Belmont expert this year. Previously holding the title of best snake in the world, the number 31 globally ranked Apollo Kage is once again crowned as the best from Missouri. If you watched the video I posted last year, you would remember that AK is one of the most active competitors in the world, and this one was no different, entering a ridiculous 140 events in 2023. His previous 98% win rate at locals has fallen off recently, but that doesn't deny the fact that he's one of the strongest in the world. At the major level, Apollo Kage still manages to impress time and time again, and with the power of seemingly infinite motivation, we can only expect more to come from the snake. We're currently halfway through the list. If you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to leave a like and a comment down below and share it with a friend who might find it interesting. It's free and helps support the channel more than you even know. Let's get right back into the list. Montana's number 1 player is Captain Falcon main Ogu HD. Ogu has remained the best in the state since my previous list and has honestly been looking even stronger since then. He doesn't travel much, but dishes out L's often within the state with a side of Banjo and Little Mac, winning a majority of the locals in the state through 2023. There's also this inactive player, Mark the SD King, who at the few events he has gone to in Montana has went undefeated. So while he's still likely the best in the state, I didn't come to give y'all hypotheticals. I don't even know if he plays still. So as the standing number 1 for quite a while now, I gave the nod to Ogu HD. From Nebraska, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Brogan, who's currently the number 1 ranked on the state's PR. With incredible wins against players from all around the Midwest, he's one of the strongest Kazuya's in the United States, but I'd still give the title to Skittles. The previous top 100 player in youngling Maine might not enter majors as frequently as he once did, but he still holds the title as one of the strongest in the Midwest and the highest ranked youngling player in North America. If there's a Midwest regional and you don't see his name, or at least pulling a huge upset, he probably just wasn't there. From Nevada, we have two major regions, Vegas and Reno. Out of Vegas, it's hard to say. I'm pretty sure Sonics and Capitancito go to school out there or something because they're always at Vegas events, so it would definitely go to the number 3 ranked player in the world, Sonics, in that case. The best player that I can confirm lives there is MVD, the number 90 ranked player in the world and one of the strongest snake players on the planet. So yeah, there's a lot of snake players on this list, my bad. From Reno, the best player for quite a few years now has been one of the best Olimar mains in the world, MFA. The previous Mr. 101 is one of the most active players out there, entering nearly 100 events in 2023, and is a player that you can never put an insane run behind. You'd be hard-stuck to find another competitor with a win rate as good as New Hampshire's number 1 player, Tyler. He rarely attends majors or even goes to out-of-state events, but his 92% win rate is just insane. This dude farms his region. The Aegis main has been able to consistently conquer the competition within his own region, and even with the back half of 2023 and the start of 24 being quite inactive, Tyler has done more than enough to hold this spot, especially given the fact he's the only player in the state to be featured on the New England Smash PR, where he currently holds the number 13 spot. New Jersey is home to someone who's held the title of best in the US, best in the world, and one of the most cracked players in the game, Tweak. At one point known for his proficiency in many, but mastery of none, Tweak's focus over the last 3 years has been Diddy Kong, and this dude has absolutely broken the character. He started the year with a major win, his third Makes Moves title, going undefeated at the 2024 edition of this major series. This included beating the likes of Shattuck, MKLeo, and Sonics. On top of that, he even managed to place 4th at one of the most recent super major events, Genesis X, where he beat Light 3-0. So maybe he has reclaimed the title of best in the country. Tweak has always been one of, if not my favorite competitor, and I hope to see more great performances from him throughout the rest of the year. New Mexico's competitive scene has been held reigned by one name, and one name only throughout Ultimate's lifespan, Fizz Khalifa. Anyone who's competed in the state can contest to Fizz's strength. The Mario and Wolf co-main can now be caught winning locals consistently with random. Yeah, this dude is crazy. In 2019, Fizz was able to take down names like Big D and Base Mage, but today remains in New Mexico for the most part. When he did take the chance to travel out the majors, he was able to impress the competition and get some great wins in the process. New York is home to a multitude of sub-regions that I'll be showing some light to on top of the best player from the state. From upstate New York, they have a constant tug of war for the number 1 spot, notably changing to 5 different players 5 seasons in a row at one point. Currently, the spacey expert iModders is regarded as the best from the region. Out of another prominent region, Westchester County, North America's best Pokemon trainer main, Quid, best known for his incredible victory at Let's Make Big Moves 2022, has held the spot as best in the county since the return of offline Smash events in 2021. Now, the previous top dog out of New York was Da King, Da Goat, Da Buzz, one of the best and most consistent players in the United States and the world, honestly, who is making a case as a top 10 player at the end of 2023. That being said, the current best player from New York is definitely Zomba. DaBuzz managed to be ranked above Zomba by a single spot on the top 100 global ranking, and an incredible start to 2024 gives him the edge in my eyes. After returning from his Japan trip in January of this year, Zomba went on an over 1 month streak of not dropping a single tournament, including a major win at Genesis X, beating 3 of the top 5 players in the world. Dude is incredible. North Carolina hosts a treasure trove of strong competitors, like the mostly inactive Toast, and other strong performers like Sen and Ashton, but it's the best Lucas in the world, Regalo, that I'd give the title as best in the state to. Regalo made a name for himself back at SmashCon 2022, upsetting a plethora of top players, but since then has remained mostly in the southeast. This hasn't been a bad thing though, as he's continued to remain a threat within his home region and has even picked up great results when he has decided to travel. He nearly missed out on top 32 at his first major of 2024, showing he's still a threat to make a splash in any bracket. Now, you don't hear much about North Dakota outside of having the lowest unemployment rate in the country, but my god, they have a nasty Mii sword player. Another beneficiary of the Wi-Fi era level up, Aaron has held the number 1 spot in the state since the return of the PR in 2021. This is with multiple Steve players ranked below them, and they've gone on to prove that Mii sword vs Steve is honestly not a bad matchup at all. I do have to include the caveat that there is a bit of Rob in Aaron's character rotation, but the Mii sword is the one doing a majority of the work and is honestly just so impressive. For Ohio, let's get something out of the way real quick, because technically Cosmos is the highest ranked player from Ohio. Technically, because this dude never goes to tournaments there and barely ever lives in the state for that matter. Even then, Geist and his Bayonetta might just be the better player at this point in time either way. As the standing best from the state with an 89% win rate offline, Geist went undefeated at locals for nearly a year straight. That being said though, these are results that we've been seeing for years now. Getting strong results with the character well before she was ever buffed, and is easily one of the best Bayonetta players that you'll ever get the chance to see. Oklahoma was yet another hard state to rank. I had reached out to one of the state's PR players for some guidance, and even he didn't have an answer for me. There's incredible competitors like Superberry, Vapor, and Cannon Red who have all topped the PR in the past, but as of right now in 2024, I feel pretty confident about giving the solo Pac-Man main, G-Bro, the title of best in the state. If you're from Oklahoma and don't agree with this, go be mad in the comments, but this guy has legitimately been amazing over the past year. In 2024, G-Bro, or as the Start GG says, Glizzard, has won 23 out of 28 of the locals that they've attended, with second being their next lowest placement. This is definitely a case of me valuing activity and results in the local scene, because Superberry does have a winning record over G-Bro, but also has only attended 3 events in 2024. Once G-Bro gets some more experience under his belt, he'll definitely be the next Pac-Man player to watch out for. The best player from Oregon is a really tricky question. There's a couple players that actually reside within the state that are fighting for the title, but there's one player that reps Oregon that would qualify as their #1 player. Jared is King 1. He is a Washington resident, but he competes exclusively in Oregon due to the distance from their events versus the rest of Washington, and even represents Oregon, so I'm just going to count him as an Oregon player. Jared's best run was in 2022, with amazing wins and major top 8s, but his 2023 and 24 have been just as great. Despite entering just a handful of events, he's managed to secure some great wins and placements and held his title as the best Shulk in the United States. Man, stop playing Smash Bros and enter some more majors. We need the Shulk representation. Pennsylvania's Smash scene is split into 2 major regions that don't interact with each other at all basically, so I'm going to cover the best from each respective area. First off, we have the Philadelphia scene, which is a lot more dense talent-wise. I'd have to give the title to their current #2 ranked player, Mercury. From the research I did, it just felt like the Joker main had higher peaks overall, and in 2024 especially has been looking incredible, winning a majority of the events he enters in the stacked region. Out of Pittsburgh though, we have the player I'd say is easily the best from the entire state, Icy Mist. Clocking in as North America's best Samus main, Icy Mist was previously the best Samus player in Smash 4 and a legend in the online Smash scene. That being said, she's an even more threatening competitor offline, especially at regional events. While Craftus and Do2 top the Rhode Island PR, it's one of the United States' most underrated competitors, Leviathan, that easily takes the title as best in the state. Now, Leviathan is not a name that a lot of you probably recognize, but maybe you recognize his previous tag, Nido Sharp. This jack of all trades is another case of an amazing player who's been inactive from the major scene. He's one of the best players I've ever seen, and he'll beat you with Joker, ZSS, Cloud, Sheik. Hell, I've even seen Nido pick random against a top player and beat them in a set. Leviathan managed to pick up a string of top 16s at majors throughout the middle of 2022, showing his potential, but remained somewhat low-key through 2023, with a peak of 9th place at the Big House 10. South Carolina hosts a plethora of incredible talents, especially with strong threats being in the state for school, including Texas's Lima and Canada's Anarchy. Despite all of that, I have Peebna and his Mega Man as the best player within the state right now. While he can be inactive at times, Peebna has consistently been able to overcome adversity and get some big wins. For a player that's never been ranked in the top 50, Peebna has had some incredible runs throughout his career, like his win at DreamHack Atlanta 2023. And I know at the beginning of the video I had a cutoff date of like the beginning of March for when I stopped counting tournaments, but in the midst of writing this video, Peebna got 4th at Cirque de CFL 3, a major tournament, and was easily one for the history books, with one of Mega Man's best runs in Ultimate ever. To continue the Southern state tradition, South Dakota's #1 player is Crows, yet another Mega Man player. The current #1 ranked player in the state is a Joker main named Jace, but I would still give the nod to Crows due to the fact that it seems like they just have a small local scene and they all trade sets with each other. Out of region, Crows shines brighter than the rest of his contemporaries. And in case any of you were curious on what the rivalry between North and South Dakota was like, Crows is up 10-5 all time over Aaron. Danny's combination of Fox and Wolf has been the strongest in Tennessee since the return of offline events. Since the start of 2024, he's been seemingly even better than he already was, picking up the biggest win of his career at Full Bloom 2024. Even last year at the Big Bunkhouse 11, he took two of North America's other youngest stars, Onan and Shattuck, to a Game 5, both of which could have gone either way. I've honestly been following this dude's play since the first one of these videos that I did, and he's gotten so much better. Definitely stay on the lookout for Danny in the future. Texas was debatably the hardest state of all. Being one of the biggest states in the whole country, it holds an incredibly high amount of talent throughout. So just to showcase more players, I'm going to be showing off 3 talents from 3 different regions of Texas, all of which are top 20 in the US. From Dallas, we have a previous EVO champion, Lima, arguably the best Bayonetta player in the world, although he doesn't currently reside within the state due to being in South Carolina for college like I previously mentioned. Out of San Antonio, we have the highest ranked player from Texas currently, Mutace. Mute went on a legendary run last year at Genesis 9, and while he hasn't reached that same peak since, the best peach in the world has proved time and time again that he's a top 10 contender on a good day. Out of Southern Texas, we have the current best player from the state, Shattuck. In 2024, he's clearly looking like the best from the state. With solo Corrin, Shattuck has been looking near unstoppable in 2024, and all of his work finally accumulated for a first place at Florida Majors Cirque CFL 3, solo Corrin's first major win, and followed it with a second place at Collision 2024. Utah's current number 1 ranked player goes to one of the best sword players in the world, Krieg, who's ranked with a combination of Marth, Roy, Crom, and Ike. That being said, I would still give the title of best in the state to Smash Ultimate's winningest player, holding it down for the record of most first place victories, Send. Send is a previous top 50 level player who's currently inactive from the state's power ranking. While his performances at majors haven't matched the same heights he once had, he's still an incredible competitor, consistently topping events within the state and is in contention for best nest in the United States with Syrup. Vermont has had a funny cycle of the best player in the state moving away. Lyrex was the state's number 1 for a long period of time before eventually moving, then was overtaken by Park Inja, who also recently moved. So right now, the number 1 player from the state is Orango, a Samus main. He's made a steep rise to the number 1 spot in the state at the end of 2023, and it looks like he's here to hold it. High level experience at majors is going to be the next step, but he's been able to defend the region from invaders quite a few times now, showing he's definitely a threat. The best player from Virginia is North America's best Ridley player, Smub. This dude has the most cracked Ridley you will ever see. He wins almost all the events in his own region, even trading sets with the neighboring region's number 1 player, Oolong. In the past, he's managed to defeat top 100 players like Jackal and Ling, and even went up 2-0 against Light at Luminosity Makes Big Moves this year. Yeah, Light, like the United States best player Light. Good Ridley gameplay is far and few between, but if you want to watch some, this is the guy to check out. Washington is one of the most underrated states competition-wise in my opinion. While they're home to a lot of character specialists all fighting for the number 1 spot, like H4's Pikachu or Embo's Duck Hunt, it's JDV's Pac-Man that once again is claiming the spot as the best in the state for me. He's easily the best Pac-Man in the US, putting up consistently strong results in the Pacific Northwest, and it all culminated together for his Battle of BC 5 run. This proved how good JDV really was against the international competition. He upset both Ouch, a player that generally gives him trouble, and Ken, one of the best players in Japan, at Canada's most stacked tournament of all time. Unless you're from the New England area, I'm sure you forget that West Virginia even exists, because I sure did before I started making these videos. But their number 1 ranked player is someone that you should all remember, Hawk. Hawk was a previous Connecticut resident and was ranked a top 15 player in New England early on in Ultimate's lifespan. Since moving to the state in 2022, the Wolfman has held the title as best in the state with very little competition. He'll drop the occasional event to the number 2 or number 3 player in the state, but other than that, he remains incredible, winning the state's main weekly Cole every week. For years, the answer to the best player in Wisconsin was simple. It was Foxman Comet. Dominant at locals and consistently picking up big Midwest wins, Comet maintained his spot for quite a while. But with Comet on a break and some other stars rising, I need to highlight 2 other players. Yoshimane Dro has been a strong player for years now, but only recently has started competing consistently. Since his return to events in November of last year, Dro has picked up multiple local wins over Comet, placed 3rd at Midwest Regional Full Bloom 2024, and even won the Wisconsin Summit over the next player I want to cover, Candle. The Youngstar Candle has more often been known as a representative of the Minnesota Smash scene, but they're actually from Wisconsin. They've had the best results out of the bunch, getting a top 32 at SmashCon and picking up many other great major performances. They've also won multiple Midwest regionals, including Honeypot 6 at the end of 2023, and in the midst of recording this video, won Sweet Spot 8, a Midwest regional where he reversed 3-0'd Apollo Kage in the grand final reset. That all being said, I would definitely give Candle the title as best within the state. In the previous 2 installments of this series, I've made the same joke, so let me get it off real quick. Last but not least, we have everyone's favorite state, Wyoming. The Wyoming Smash scene is essentially just a college local called Wyoming Final Smash Fridays. There, the player I've mentioned in the 2 previous videos, Apothos, reigned strong, but recently a newcomer to the competition, NACL, is seemingly taking over. Their first tournament clocked in was in September of 2023, and since then NACL has risen from pretty good to winning nearly every weekly. They haven't had a chance to travel to any major or bigger events yet, but I'm really looking forward to checking back in next time when I make one of these. And that's it. Wrap it up. Thank you to anybody who stuck around to the end of the video. Like, seriously, this video took a ton of work and research, so I'm gonna chill out one more time and say, if you could drop a like on the video, comment down below if this is the first time learning about the best Smash Ultimate player from your state, and possibly share it with a friend as well if you think they'd find it interesting. It really helps with all the fancy YouTube stuff and grows the channel and gets us out to more people who need to see it. Here's the full list of how many times each character was represented throughout the list. I have this full graphic also posted on my Twitter if you'd like to go like and repost it over there. It also helps the channel out a lot. If Twitter isn't your style, I would definitely recommend sticking around my channel and checking out a few of my videos. This one on the left is one I would personally suggest, but YouTube thinks this one on the right's a little more your style. Thanks for watching.